think a lot of people in Britain don't realise that under the Belfast Agreement, also called the Good Friday Agreement, which is an international treaty signed by the UK as a sovereign government, registered with the United Nations, you can't go back on this. It says that anybody in Northern Ireland has an absolute right to be Irish or British, or both, as they may so choose. It's their choice as to what their national identity is, what their national allegiance is. And at the time, that was, it meant certain kinds of things. But of course now, being Irish or British means being inside or outside the European Union. So the UK has 1.5 million citizens who have an absolute internationally guaranteed right to be in the European Union. They can take out Irish citizenship. They don't have to do anything except just ask for a passport. And they are European Union citizens. And this means that, Theresa May keeps saying, well, it's the UK as a whole voted and we're all in this together and there's no difference. There is a difference. And you simply wonder, has she read the Belfast Agreement? Does she not understand that this is a sovereign obligation of the British government to honour this international agreement and to think about what the implications of that are? It's just very odd that this isn't really being thought about, because the implications of it are that Northern Ireland, which voted against Brexit, should have the right to stay in the European Union and should be a special zone, which is both in the UK and in the EU. The Good Friday Agreement didn't just kind of come out of people's heads for no reason, right? It was there to stop a horrific conflict which had gone on for 30 years, which had killed people in mainland Britain, which had killed people in Ireland on both sides of the border, which had really, was a disgrace to all of us. It was a disgrace to everybody on these islands that this conflict continued. And so we had to come up with an imaginative solution, which was this agreement, which said, actually, people's identity is complex. It can be multiple, it can be ambiguous, and they can choose it. It's not something that they're forced into. So this was a good space that we got into. We got into it to avoid the continuation of certain horrors. If you just tear up the agreement, then you are running a risk of the conflict starting again. I don't think the British people, if they think about this, actually want to do that. And therefore, I think if they just focus a little bit on the Irish situation, they may think about some of the complexities of Brexit that haven't really been discussed. We all know that there are reasons why people are angry. They're good reasons. They're not sort of stupid people, right? And they're angry about inequality and insecurity. So what you have to think about is what's actually going to tackle the root causes of inequality and insecurity. Is Brexit? Is an overwhelming Tory majority where you have a government which doesn't have to really be accountable to anybody? Is those two things coming together, is that likely to lead to the kind of real discussion and real change in Britain that's going to make people feel more respected, more dignified, more equal, more economically and politically secure? There is another Britain. There is a Britain which is open, which is tolerant, which is inventive, which is proud of its own decency. And it's just lovely to be here and to see the people who are engaged in politics, who are wakened up to the urgency of politics, but also the tone in which things are being discussed. It's not hysterical, it's not hate-filled, it is civil. And it's that civility in British society which I hope will be its saviour.